Today we're going to take a technical look at one of the most anticipated rides of 2023, Cedar Point's new Wild Mouse. Earlier this week, I saw the ride cycling continuously on Cedar Point's webcam, and from this we can figure some interesting things about the ride. Like most coasters of the Wild Mouse style, this ride has a large number of four-person cars, in this case 7, and to get decent capacity, the cars have to be moving at short intervals. This means that Wild Mouse is a fairly short ride with a lot of block zones in order to allow multiple cars to be on the circuit at once. The interval timer that you see on your screen resets whenever a car drops off the lift. The ride timer is going to be tracking specifically the red car from drop to brakes. The interval timer will remain on screen through most of the video so you can see this for yourself, but I'm just going to tell you to save some time that the interval seems to be approximately 24 seconds. There are 3,600 seconds in an hour, and each dispatch takes 24 seconds, which means we have approximately 150 dispatches per hour. When we have 4 people per dispatch, this gives a total of approximately 600 people per hour for Wild Mouse. Do keep in mind, however, this is a pretty idealized analysis, and once you get guests on a ride, it tends to make it very hard to actually hit its ideal interval. However, while 600 riders per hour is fairly low for a Cedar Point roller coaster, this ride has several tricks up its sleeve to keep the line moving and to help the ride operators achieve its interval. As I mentioned earlier, the design of this ride is a fairly short ride with a lot of block zones, which is the first step to high capacity. However, this sort of design is useless if ride operators can't achieve the interval, and Wild Mouse does have some tricks to assist that too. The restraints on Wild Mouse appear to be very simple, consisting only of a lap bar without a seat belt. Simpler restraints are easy to check, which helps get the cars moving. Zooming in and speeding up the video, we can see that Wild Mouse also appears to have some form of moving station. This is not unique to Wild Mouse, but it is unique among roller coasters at Cedar Point. Making loading into a continuous rather than a sequential process is very helpful with roller coasters like this that have low capacity trains. In fact, at Cedar Point, 2 rides that aren't coasters already use this: Thunder Canyon and the Sky Ride. As a side note, you can also see that every car does have to stop to be aligned to face forward before entering the station. This shouldn't affect capacity much because there's always going to be empty cars in the station to fill. If you look closely, there's always at least 3 or so cars in there. Another factor that will help the line move quicker, at least for most guests, is the fact that Wild Mouse will not be on fast lane, at least for its first season. We don't know what Cedar Point's going to do in the future, but we do know right now that Wild Mouse is not on fast lane. On some of the other lower capacity coasters at Cedar Point, for example Maverick, the line moves very slow because of how much fast lane plus there is. Therefore, for the majority of guests that don't have fast lane, Wild Mouse will have a fairly quick moving line relative to its low capacity. So that's a little background on how a relatively low capacity coaster will be able to cope with the crowds at the mega park that is Cedar Point. Once Wild Mouse opens and I can go there and get some more video of it up close, I might make some more analysis videos of it, maybe try to figure out the block zones or figure out some of the more technical features of the ride that we can't see from the webcam. Until then, thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this nerd's eye view of Wild Mouse.